Services at your service.
You had me interested there, Karl. Not that I'm not interested, no.
I think everyone's interested in how to put some laundered money into the country.
Oh, yeah. It's just a good skill to have.
Let me adjust the sound. Is it up? Okay, it's getting me. Is it getting you?
Let's see. Check 1, 2. Do you hear me? Am I going clear?
Yes.
Watching the... Okay. You got me?
And now we go to it. Shit, goddamn. Wow. I'm glad to have the Black Beast over here, and we got Mr. Matt Weir. God damn, I'm glad he's here. Yes, exactly right here. He's ready. Just as what Brian Scalabrine was to Kobe Bryant, Matt Weir is to the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, a future heavyweight champion. Exactly. I'm glad you were able to come by here. So you were dependable with scheduling. And I've come to realize that with a lot of comics. Some are not good with just their timing and scheduling.
The vast majority are totally unreliable. Just do not take it seriously one bit.
Do you think it's because you have a professional job as well, so you're used to having to be punctual in most settings?
Yeah, I think that does help. I think having the professional job, just having a job in general probably sets me apart from a lot of comedians. But no, I mean, honestly, yeah, having a professional job, and I've been doing comedy for a while, and you just kind of after a while realize that if you make a commitment, you should stick with it, you know, so.
Exactly. And let me tell the viewers how I first met Matt. It was actually Dustin. He was recording his podcast, but he had the show before.
Okay.
So that happened. And then you guys went on afterwards. And I remember hearing, and I'll tell the audience, the viewers here, the first thing I heard Matt say was making fun of Raider fans' the sensitivity. Now, I could have taken my pocket knife and gone over to him and shown him who was boss, but it was like, you know what? That just perpetuates the stereotype as a Raiders fan, so maybe I should wait a little. So I gave him a chance, and I'm glad I decided not to act on instinct immediately.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm glad too. It's been a good friendship so far. That might have been a hard foot to get off on, you know. I don't know if we could have mended that relationship
after that.
If you would have shanked me with your pocket knife.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the one every fan gets when they start rooting for the Raiders. It's kind of an unofficial greeting.
It's like complimentary.
Yeah, exactly. How like they give Boy Scouts their badges.
Right.
A Raider fan, you get a pocket knife. It's easy, goddamn.
So was that at the show at JP's?
Yeah,
right?
It was JP's and stuff. And I thought it was a good how he brought on. It was you, Devontae, and Chris, right?
Yes.
And then it was also Kim. I think was there too, or she was one of the people.
Wait, who was Chris? Chris who?
Chris Herb.
Chris Herb. Yes, exactly. Okay, because there were a couple Chris's, and then I confused myself. You're right. Yeah, it was Chris Herb, Devontae, and I. We did the show, and then he had asked us to stick around after the show. It was a good show, fun doing that live podcast. And then who was Kim? I don't know.
Kim Han. I think she was like the first or second person to go up.
Yeah, I don't know if she came. Maybe she popped in on the podcast. I always get drunk at JP's.
Maybe she wasn't on the podcast or something. I know the show before she was.
Okay.
Because remember, Avery was hosting it.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the people to host the show, God damn it.
Right.
See, during that lineup, he couldn't do the whole, we have a Semite who's going to come up now.
Oh, yeah.
He does that for every Jewish person when he hosts.
He's very racial.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's the king of raciality.
Is he? Or is anyone compete with him for that? I don't know. Maybe he is ahead with that.
Every time I hear Avery, I mean, everybody talks about race, you know, but Avery, I've heard him make references to his blackness, you know, like 10 times in a 5-minute set.
Or how he talks about how white people and black people drive.
Oh, I haven't heard that one yet.
No, wait. Haven't you where he does, for the white person, it looks like he's on the broom?
Oh, yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah. It's like
he's a witch.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell?
Racist motherfucker. See, you're not the only one he goes after. He goes after Semites, Gentiles, all kinds of races, ethnicities, and religions. It's just...
Gypsies.
Yeah,
We don't have many of them come through, but if we did, we did. Who else could maybe he discriminates against? Tribes, First Nations, peoples, tribes.
If he could, I think he has. I think I've seen him. Yeah. But you know what? Natives love Avery. I will say that right now. Native Americans, he's a friend of the natives. Even though he pokes fun at them, they fucking love his ass, and I can attest to that.
Because he makes them feel better about themselves. He makes everyone feel better about. That's why. Okay, Jesus. When you said I never realized the difference with him, or because I heard about him a few years back. It's like, oh, he was different then, and I didn't know about that till I saw when he was on Kill Tony. And that was about 2 or 3 years ago. And oh my God, there is such a difference. If you know him, look at the episode. It is like it's night and day compared to now if you know him.
Yeah, like, do you feel like he was a little more, I don't know, energetic back then or something maybe? I feel like, or he meandered less maybe. His comedy is always meandering. His comedy is always kind of chaotic and just flow of conscious, and that can do really well. I feel like his appearance on Kill Tony was probably, I think he did really well, but and I've seen him do well since, but I feel like he was like better back then. I mean, I'll just be honest. I feel like he was like funnier back then.
Exactly. Well, it seemed like he was definitely more like quicker to respond.
Yes, like more in tune, more with it, and he's just kind of like, now I don't know what it is, but he's a little bit harder to get through to, and he doesn't like react to things as fast.
We are going to start showing this to kids now in the Arizona public education system as an alternative to the DARE program. Do they do the DARE program here?
They did. I actually won the DARE essay contest when I was in elementary school.
Oh my gosh.
I won it. Yeah. It was me and like 3 other kids from my grade. I read my essay in front of the mayor of Scottsdale or something. Like, it was ridiculous, dude. And now look at me.
Exactly with it.
I'm a responsible drug user, so it worked.
Exactly with it. Well, see, responsibility. That's what they should have been teaching, and you found that out yourself. You didn't need no Nancy Reagan drug like prevention program. No. Yeah, I remember. I want to say it was about 3rd grade or something. They had us do like a packet, and it's like sign like, oh, you won't do cigarettes, you won't do like all these like different drugs and stuff like that, or you won't abuse using alcohol when of legal age. Yeah, more than half the class go a decade later did not follow that.
Yeah. I like how that's all they like included to it. It needs to be a little bit more than that, you know. They need to be like, you will not abuse alcohol or your significant other when you drink alcohol.
They have to pair them together.
Yeah. I mean, you got to just like, why just stop there? You need to kind of like encapsulate everything in one promise, because then, you know, people are just going to go downhill.
Yeah, so there's like any vices that are considered immoral to society.
Yes, exactly. Lump them all in there. It's like a 500-page document, like 8 font, you know, like on legal paper. There's like multiple sections and clause. It looks like a bill going through Congress, and you just got to sign the whole thing, you know?
Each thing has a subsection, and there's subtext to that subsection.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, well,
you got to get your lawyer to look at it before you sign it.
I need to run this by my counsel. Yeah, with those whole drug prevention programs, I'm thinking if they really want to do the best way, bring someone who's used it in there, who's recovered, and they'll tell you straight. Because I can at least know from heroin. One person I know that I've knowingly know who used it, they're like, you will think about nothing else but that drug after using it. And I first like brushed it aside like, oh, okay. And he had to emphasize it a few more times. You will think about nothing else but wanting that drug. So it's like, oh, you literally can't even change how the hell you're thinking if you start using this drug. That's what it really does to you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's bad. And I mean, I think you're right that bringing in a ex-drug user would be the way to go. Because I remember when I was going through the DARE program, they had a cop in there, and that's usually what it was a cop. I mean, Jim Perry was a DARE officer, which I can totally see. But he was telling us, I still remember this sticks in my head. He was saying, so kids, if you take one Tylenol and it makes you feel better, will it make you feel really good to take 2 Tylenol? And I'm like, no, you fucking idiot. You're not getting high off Tylenol. Why are you saying Tylenol? Like, he was worried about kids taking too much Tylenol and sniffing markers. His like big story was like he saw one of his little toddler daughters like smelling a marker and he freaked out. Which, I mean, shouldn't be smelling markers, but like that's the least of your concerns. In terms of drugs, Tylenol and Sharpies, you don't really have to worry about those as a parent or as a society.
Especially when this probably happened for you, because I assume it was before the whole OxyContin epidemic happened.
Oh yeah, I was in 5th grade. Back then, yeah. It was before the opioid renaissance, you know. We just had good old heroin back then, which I actually have tried heroin. So now you've met 2 people.
Oh, 2 people that have it. God.
Yeah, I was never like hooked on it, but I gave it a shot, you know.
Oh god, yeah, it's like I gotta imagine if it's been like once or twice, whatever you used it, it was like I'm not going back to that again. It's like it's too dark of a hole.
Yeah, there was one day where I was at my friend's apartment. And what are you gonna put this out on, like YouTube and shit?
Yeah, YouTube and stuff. So we can
edit out.
Let's see if you want to do initials for the person, you can name someone by initials.
Okay, well I'll just say this.
An individual. This subject did this.
I gotta talk to my counsel. No, but basically what happened was, it's like black tar, right?
Yeah, the stuff you get for it.
Yeah, like the black tar comes in like little rocks, and he had like a decent amount of it, and I had smoked it at night, and then I just passed out at his place, and then I woke up the next morning, and I looked on the floor, and there was another little rock of the tar like sitting on the floor, and I smoked that, and I was like, oh nice, and then I started looking on the floor for any more rocks. And he was a big hiker. He hiked a lot, so there's a lot of little rocks like in his carpet. And then I started looking for rocks for like 3 hours. I was like going through and like taking every little rock I found and like trying to smoke it.
You were like one of those basset hounds that use to try to look for, or those bloodhounds they use to try to look for people that have like in a natural disaster, but you're using it to find tar heroin, just little bits. Oh my!
Not quite as noble of a cause, you know. But
no, not one bit. But you took it in the moment, so you took that roll up.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you know what? That was back in 2012. So, and I left his house that day, and I said, it wasn't one of those situations where I was like, I'm never doing that again, because I never even really got that hook to begin with. But I remember just thinking, whoa, fuck. I just looked around this kid's apartment to see if I could find any, like, little loose rocks laying around. I just did that. That was some straight junkie shit, and I just did it without even thinking about it for, like, 3 hours. I was like, whoa, that's fucking scary. And I never did it after that.
No, that's good. You were able to, like, existentially see what you did in that moment.
Yes.
No, that's
self-awareness,
terrific.
You know?
Luckily, I haven't used that before, but I remember snorting some white substance, and it was definitely more than cocaine because it kept me up for 38 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And then it kept me about depressed for 3 or 4 days.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it was just one of those. It's like, it's not worth it 3 or 4 days after just feeling depressed for no reason, damn it.
Oh, no. Was it fun while you were doing it, though?
Somewhat, yeah, but even, like, halfway through, there's real, like, let off.
That's like the come down. Yeah, you probably did meth, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I know you probably didn't want to use that dirty word, but
no, well, that's what I made a bit about before, is like asking people, like, I'm afraid I might have used it. Yeah. And the reason I tried it, because I used to think for time, oh no, I didn't. But then when I bring it up to people, what happens, like, you might have.
Yeah, everybody's gonna say it's 38 hours. Yeah, sounds about right. It's all right, buddy. I've done it too. I did the same thing in Mexico one time.
Okay.
It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Oh my, freaking Matt Weir in Mexico. I could only imagine how crazy.
Oh yeah, it was a fun time.
Oh, plus they have a whole thing of liking the Irish. They probably think you're Canelo's older brother, so they really go crazy for you.
Canelo's older brother.
You see,
I should say that. Like, I trained him.
Hermano Alvarez.
I taught him everything he knows. Yeah.
Mateo Hermano Alvarez. Brother Matthew Alvarez.
Yeah, he's Canelo. I'm like Nutmeg Alvarez.
Yeah, whatever. Because I guess Canelo, it's something to do with, like, cinnamon is what it is.
Cinnamon, yeah.
Yeah, exactly what it is. But I swear I see him, and I've seen straight up Irish people. It's like he looked just like him.
Yes.
How the fuck does this go on?
Yeah, no, for sure. He looks like he looks pretty Irish. You can tell he's got a little bit of a little something spicy in there, you know.
Exactly. Someone from St. Patrick's Battalion came down to Guadalajara.
Yes, and had a lot of fun with some senoritas down there.
Exactly. I haven't gone over the border yet here. No. I mean, eventually, because it's really like what to see. Because I guess in my mind, I don't want to be that person that just does the beach thing. Because if I really wanted to do that, I might as well go to like Southern California and around there, like Venice Beach and Huntington Beach.
Okay.
But if probably kind of maybe like the inland stuff in Mexico.
Okay.
Because I don't know if that's when you went. Did you go to the beaches when you were there? Okay.
The last time I was there, like on a vacation, yeah, I was in Rosarito, which is just south of Tijuana on the coast.
Okay.
It's nice. There's other things to like. Like I know the beaches in California are very nice, and you know, it's like why go to Mexico when I have these beaches right in my backyard? But like the nice thing about Mexico too is if you go there, like we went there for like a little music festival weekend at this place called Papas y Beer. And it was just like crazy. And everybody there was like from LA. They were all like Mexican people from LA.
Okay.
But it's just fun because in Mexico, at least where we were, you could buy like cases at the bar, you know?
Oh, the alcohol. Okay, the looser alcohol.
Yeah, like the regulations are just not there. And like you can go to the bar and like I said, just buy like a whole fucking. I mean, I don't know what if there is a limit there. You could probably buy like a 30 rack at the bar.
Depending on what kind of person you are and how down you like to get, I guess. All right, Mr. Wildman, where he likes to go to the bars in Mexico at the beach. Yeah. All right, I can't blame it there. I guess for me, it's more the different experiences and stuff, and it's more in my mind. It's like if I go to Mexico, I'll go to the inland stuff. That's more, whether it be historical sites or even if it was just seeing like their farming or horsing area, like I'm sure they offer like horse riding through some places. They do it in
for sure.
They'll do it through Yosemite and Yellowstone. I'm sure they do it in Mexico.
Oh yeah. And I mean Mexico, they have that kind of Spanish culture going where like, you know, not the poor Mexicans, but you know, the rich Mexicans are definitely riding horses all day. I mean, you got like the Nacho Figueroas of Mexico, you know. I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but
no, I won't. But if we had to bring him up here, I do have the television. I could bring him up on here. That's why I have this right here to cast.
Oh, we could just go over to the screen, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, it's not gonna like show on there because obviously YouTube with this stupid ass copyright I didn't. But I would put a link to whatever it is, so if people wanted to see it themselves.
Gotcha.
Like I had one with my roommate where we watched like it was like a half-hour highlight thing of the last Formula One race because there was a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
And that went pretty good. And at the end, I just put a link to what it was at the bottom. So it's like, hey, if you want to watch it yourself, you can just go here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, speaking of Formula One, I've seen some of the craziest crashes in Formula One. Like, their crashes are way crazier than NASCAR, right? Usually. I mean, NASCAR has some bad ones, too, but...
Fairly. Well, the NASCAR thing, it's when it starts to fly is the problem. With Formula One, it's because they go so quickly, you just don't know how they're going to, like, just move. Okay. How it's going to. That's why they have to really proof those barriers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I remember a few years ago when Romain Grosjean was in the fire, and if he had been out there in 10 seconds more, he probably would have died. But how he got out, he only had burns to the back of his hands and his ankles.
And what happened? What happened to his vehicle?
Oh, it clipped another driver because he didn't see him as he was crossing, and he went into this barrier. And it just, I mean, I could show it too. It's still online.
Okay, and we're going to put the link for this in the description.
Oh, yeah, well, people could find it. Roman, and funny enough, if you know Brad Elliott, this driver looks kind of like him. So I always tell Brad it's his father.
Oh, who's Brett? Is he a comic?
He is. I see him more at Improv Mania,
Yeah.
but I've seen him some other places as well.
Okay. Yeah, man. I think the Formula One stuff is just pretty crazy. I mean, I know NASCAR is too, but you just don't see the speed as much because Formula One they're rounding the turns, accelerating, whereas NASCAR they're at top speed and they kind of slow down around certain turns, but they're at top speed pretty much the whole time, right? But the cool thing about NASCAR is it's more fair, right? It's more equal among cars. Like Formula One, you could have one team who has a lot more money and can spend money on a lot more stuff, whereas with NASCAR, every car is like pretty much got the same stuff on it. That's what I've heard. Is that right?
Similar, yeah, because you have the same layout of the car. I know my roommate knows more about this, but obviously each one has a different manufacturer. But I guess the purpose with NASCAR, it's to say, let's say to a fan, if they wanted to buy the car, they could modify their car in such a way in which it could be.
Right. It's stock car racing. That's why they call it stock
Whereas, like,
car.
Obviously a Formula One car,
Right.
you're not.
You're not taking that thing to work.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be driving that. I don't believe that's street legal at a point.
Yeah.
Does it pass all the tests? Okay, yes, I found
You
it.
got
And
it?
this
You got
is
it pulled up?
yeah. Well, this is the overview, so
Okay.
you can see what it looked like from above.
Okay, let's have a look. So this was not a fatal crash.
No,
Oh, wow. Is this in France?
no, this is in Bahrain. Yeah, because I mean, like where he is in there, he gets out at a point. This is just like the crazy part. How
He's not out yet?
No, he's not. That's the crazy thing.
And he survived that?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm like, if it had him just a few seconds more, because
Because they have that suit on, huh?
you'll see this, the one who gets
Holy.
closer, he pulls him out. Yeah, there, he pulls him out.
How? So that's all that suit that kept him alive.
Yeah, it's the technology. It's very it'll show like this. This is the card that he clipped, cause in front, he just cuts across. Yeah, because I think it said the G-force when he went into it was about like 51 Gs, like the amount of impact.
How do you survive that?
Oh, all the technology you have to put into it. There's also, I guess, something they make them do at the beginning of the year where you have to prove you can get out of it in 10 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, they do all that. They have all that engineering stuff. Yeah, a big reason is because in the 90s, when this one driver, Ayrton Senna, which there's actually a mural of him in downtown Phoenix on Buchanan and Central, I believe. And he died in 94, I believe, at a race in Italy. And it was because of like a protruding of the barrier where it hit caused some internal bleeding in his brain, and that's why he died. Because it didn't look like a brutal crash, but
It doesn't take much sometimes. Like for instance, I see you have the Dale Earnhardt at a figurine over there.
yeah.
But that crash with Dale Earnhardt did not look bad at all.
No, it didn't.
It looked like he just kind of like angled into the wall. It wasn't even like a head-on full crumple crash. It was just like he brushed the wall very hard.
Yeah, but because of how his head like shook.
Right. And now, do you think that's because they don't have the technology back then?
Well, apparently it was optional before he died, and he was known for not wanting to wear it because he's like, it's uncomfortable. But after it, they made it mandatory. You have to wear this. I forgot what it is. Like it goes. You put it on before your helmet, and it prevents your head from shaking because it clips to the back right here on a helmet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that just prevents your head from shaking.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, they have all those technologies because it looks bad on them if they have athletes dying.
Yeah, big time. For sure.
Plus, that driver who did die, Senna, it was the third big crash that weekend and the second fatal one.
Oh, wow.
Because there was one in practice. I forgot who it was. They had a bad crash where they had to stop a practice session, but that person turned out fine. They just had to recover for the weekend. And there was another guy, I want to say he was Austrian. He did die. And that driver who then, like, died in the actual race, he apparently had a flag for that driver. He was going to like wave around after the race in honor of him. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, so then after that, they made like real changes because before then it was thought,
Right.
oh, we don't want to make these safety changes. It changes away from the racing. But then they had probably their biggest star at the time die, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Wow. That's intense stuff, man. I mean,
Yeah, and his mural is in downtown Phoenix because when they held the Grand Prix here a few times in the early 90s and late 80s, he won it, I want to say, twice.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. And if you ever go to Brazil, he's pretty revered there.
Is that where he's from?
Oh, yeah. Oh, people in Brazil, because it was a pretty, like, undesirable nation back then. Like, they had just gotten out of a military dictatorship. It didn't seem that appealing of a place, but he was a guy who took pride in Brazil and was on the international stage.
Right.
So he was kind of a hero of the country in some ways to them.
I see.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, those dudes are brave, man. You got to give it up to them. I don't know how you become like a driver or what skills it takes.
Well, what I realized the trend is they either had a father who did it,
right,
or their father was rich enough to where they could finance their career.
Yeah.
To try to get them early on.
Right, and then I feel like it's the type of skill where how do you get good at Formula One racing? You just Formula One race. That's how you get better at it. There's really nothing that can prepare you.
Like the little leagues you start at is karting.
Yeah.
And then from there, you just try to move up the karting levels to where an actual team will sponsor you at one of those lower levels of racing. And then you just move up through that.
Gotcha.
Or if, let's say, you get sponsored by a team, because they have driver academies and such. But obviously, they're quick to cut. And you got to be top of the line for them to want to sign you.
Right. Do you think those guys truly have like remarkable physical skills?
Somewhat, because it's a lot of reactions. Obviously, it's not like doing something like physically exhausting such. But if you've ever done like karting as such, I don't know if you've been to like K1 Speed or one of those.
I went to Octane one time. I got my ass whooped. It was bad. I thought I was doing good, and then the rankings came out, and I was last. And I was like, fuck! Dead last? Are you serious?
All right, well, at least you didn't try a career as a karting driver.
Yeah, no, I think I'm too fat. I take away from, like, the aerodynamics of my big head.
Well, that's a big thing with Formula One, keeping the weight down.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even with the driver, do you think? Like, a smaller driver even matters?
Well, a lot of drivers are smaller. I know there are some that are about our age, our height, like 6'1".
Yeah.
But there's even drivers. I want to say the shortest one, Yuki Tsunoda, right now. I want to say he's like 5'4", 5'5". He's not that tall.
Wow.
And most of them are about that 5'7", 5'8", it seems like.
Okay.
Yeah, so honestly, that's about the average height of a guy, maybe a little below.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but a lot of them, they also have to keep in shape because you want to lower the weight of the car, because if you could lower the weight, it can make going quicker. That's why
absolutely.
any part of the car, you try to lower that damn weight.
Right. Weight is the fastest way to go quicker.
Yeah, exactly, because whatever your power is, there's less to hold it down, so whatever time you're going to be able to shave off. And
right.
Obviously, if there's little milliseconds you're trying to find at some points, it's like, might as well do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but obviously, I think you said about like the teams and stuff. I guess more the difference with NASCAR, it seems there's more teams that are competing for those top driver spots, whereas Formula One is just a select few. Like, it's a much smaller group. That could just be because there's more drivers in NASCAR, but I don't know exactly. But eventually I'll try to go to one of their races, and because I know some other comics talk about doing like an Austin trip. I've thought of doing it when they have the race in Austin, go to that during the day, and then go to those different comedy clubs in the evening.
That would be cool.
It would be cool because the track's just southeast of the city. You could even see it from some parts of the track.
What if we tried to do comedy at the raceway and tried to do it over the sound of the engines?
Yeah, that would not be the smartest idea.
Like front row trying to do it with a big megaphone.
Yeah, because I'm remembering when when I went, my roommate, we saw the race they had at Phoenix this year.
It's probably so loud there, huh?
It is, yeah. Well, luckily, because he's gone a few times in the past with his family, they have the ear muffs, and they have this cool one where you can program it to one of the drivers their radio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and if you keep it on that programming, you can come back next year and not have to pay the fee to reprogram the site.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you just keep following that same driver.
Or same track. It's a track.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's like if a Phoenix, I can't go to when they do like their Atlanta race,
Right.
or if they did Talladega, or if they did the Kansas Motor Speedway, something like that.
Got it.
Yeah, and I thought it was something cool. It's like, okay, this you can like listen to their radio communications.
That is cool. Man, I feel like you're not an American until you go to a NASCAR event, and I've never been. Because I'm not like I would love to go to
a Monster Jam, one of those.
Have I been to a Monster Jam? I don't think I've been to one of those either.
I feel like that would be something cool to go with comics because tickets are usually very cheap for that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they do with beer sales or if they'd make it cheap or just the normal price for it, but I feel like that'd be a good one to get wasted before.
Yeah, for sure. You know who'd be totally down? Hector Garcia. He's such like a Mexican redneck, bro. He would come with us to Monster Jam, fucking WrestleMania, NASCAR, all that shit. I haven't been to any of it, but I want to go. And I want to go to F1. So we should put that on the
I know the
schedule.
The Monster Jam and stuff like that. The one time I did go, the only people I really did see there were like working class whites and Mexican people.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
We both eat that shit up.
Yeah, it's like, yes, cheap family entertainment. Because it's like you can get just a ticket high up for $10. It's
Right.
probably good because you're not as close to where the sound is, so you don't need to have the ear muffs as well. It's more if you're really close or are young to have that. But if you're high up, then you don't really need it as much.
Right.
Yeah. Although with NASCAR, it definitely felt like that more. But then again, you're not as high up, I guess, is with that Monster Jam and stuff like that. And plus, there's all those cars going at once, whereas Monster Jam, there's like one, maybe two.
Yes.
Going at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like maybe that just collectivity of all that sound contributes to it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. All the people just like, woo! Fucking drunk ass people yelling. And
there was a lot of old people when I went there.
To Monster Jam?
No. To NASCAR. Monster Jam, it was when I was younger and it was back home.
Oh, and where?
In the Bay Area and stuff, because they did it at the Oakland Coliseum.
Oh, nice.
Because that has, it's easier to get the trucks into there because where they have in center field, they have a big opening, so it's easier rather than using the crane that's outside to lift it in.
Was there any black people in there?
Besides the concession and security people, maybe a few.
That's how you know no black people like that shit, because that was in Oakland. And cheap, and still not a fucking black person watching. They do not give a fuck about big trucks. I think white people and Mexicans are really the only races that give a fuck about big trucks.
I did see it, yes, big trucks with it. Yeah, especially when you modify it to lift it. Oh yeah, I want to say actually NASCAR even saw like more black people than I did remember seeing. I mean, maybe that's just because it was more recent in my memory, but I just felt like, oh yeah, and stuff. Well, I don't even think it's just because of Bubba Wallace and stuff. I think it's more people from the South are into it. Gotcha.
Now, is Bubba Wallace, is he literally like the first ever black NASCAR driver or something, or what's the significance with him?
He not the first. Been for a while. There was actually one who was better. If obviously. Racism and discrimination wasn't as, but it was it Willie T. Ribbs was his name, and there was I remember watching a Netflix documentary on him, and he had to like scrounge up ranks, and I think when he was first brought on, because I don't think it was like the straight NASCAR, like the Cup series that most people watch, it was like maybe one of those lower levels, but they brought him on because I guess first it was someone wanted to try to get some like the black demographic in the area in North Carolina, I believe, to come out to the race, and and he was like doing well and stuff, and but I want to say with Bubba Wallace, he was the second to win a race and such. Yeah, because I mean, he had to switch of teams. He went to Michael Jordan's team this year. It's like him and Denny Hamlin have like a co-ownership of the team, even though Hamlin's with a completely different team right now.
Michael Jordan has a team?
Yeah, the 23 XI.
What?
23 for Jordan and then XI because Denny Hamlin's 11.
Wow. So what is Jordan? Is he an owner?
Yeah,
I'm assuming he's not driving the car.
Oh yeah. No. But he's like putting money into it, and I know he said he wanted to seriously go into it, and I think they're gonna expand to a second driver. And unfortunately, that may expose Bubba Wallace because he was able to win a race, but he had a very much disappointing results many times. Like I want to say the race I went to, he was either the first or second driver to retire.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's had some issues at times. Yeah.
And when you say retire, that means he basically quits the race.
Yeah. Retired from the race. I should have just said that. It's like obviously he's young, he's still going, he's got a contract.
Right.
All right, he's advertising for DoorDash. The man isn't gonna leave here. Yeah, and yeah, so he has that significance. But I mean, it's a slowly changing sport. Like I like to say, this year's champion Kyle Larson, he was the first person ever come back successfully from cancel culture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, after he lost a seat briefly last year for saying a certain expletive word that you shouldn't really say on when they were doing like a video game thing online.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so he lost it for the remainder of the season.
The word?
Well, yeah, the one you probably shouldn't say around people like Bubba Wallace.
That word?
Yeah, he said
with
it.
With the ER?
Yeah, and it was just to test out his microphone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
And he's a NASCAR driver?
Yeah, and he said it on a when it was knowingly other drivers were also on it, so someone was probably recording it and live streaming it.
What a freaking idiot, dude.
Yeah, he lost it for the season.
That?
Yeah, and he was
and he got Michael Jordan in the league now. You can't be saying that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was before Jordan went in because it was.
Oh, see, he wouldn't say it with Jordan in the league now. He wouldn't even do that. He would not try that shit.
No, right now. Well, I think he came in after whatever, Jordan, how he wanted to buy into the team because it can get expensive. But I know since he is a billionaire, he obviously has some money to burn straight away. Because I've learned that with businesses, and I don't know how you've seen it, but let's say a new business to break into an industry that may be dominated by one or a few firms, you got to be willing to lose a fair amount of money at first just to build your ground, and then you can start making profit.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the whole thing. Amazon, how they took advantage of all the bookstores.
You might be right, because I feel like Amazon, I did hear somewhere that they lost a lot of money up front. And at certain points, their stock price was just fucking tanking, but they kept the fundamentals of their business solid, and, that's how they got to where they are today.
Because they just try to increase their sales as much. They're not trying to go for profit as much. They want to be the leading bookseller, so that just means revenue.
Yeah.
They just want revenue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why they're willing to undercut even the regular bookstore that you can go buy just a little.
Right.
Those bastards.
What do you think about Amazon?
Well, the problems I think with them are more when they started buying the Ring doorbell and Whole Foods, because it's like, okay, why are you sticking your tentacles into all these different industries?
Right.
Grocery stores and home security systems. Is this really necessary?
Yeah, true. It's getting a little freaky now.
Yeah, because I don't really care that they're big into the e-commerce thing, because they were able to first go in with the books and then expand. But it is that whole, when you start, I think it's called horizontal integration. Or no, that's when you buy firms that are of your same. It would be vertical integration, because you're just buying the firm to do some other service for you instead of having to outsource it to a different company.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, vertical integration's like moving either down or up the supply chain.
Yeah, you're getting some other point of it, whether it be the raw materials, the in-process goods, or the finished goods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we know about all those businesses doing their crazy stuff. I think something with Amazon, and related to something I want to talk about, that they'll be the key to getting Bitcoin more accepted, because if their website accepts it, I think it'll become more used. Because it's if Amazon's willing to accept it for a payment, why not?
Right.
That's why when Tesla did it for a while, it shot the price up. And then because the investors with Tesla were like, oh, we don't know if we should really be taking this money, Elon, it's like, okay, we can't accept it anymore. And then the price goes down. But if people are accepting it, then it backs it up as, okay, this is something to use.
Big time.
And I think probably them and maybe Ethereum and stuff will be integrated into stuff. But all those little meme coins or the trend coins done, those are probably just like short sellers trying to make a quick profit off those.
Right. Highly speculative. There's really no value behind them. I'm not claiming to know what truly sets Bitcoin apart from a meme coin, but I know Bitcoin's proof of work and it's decentralized. I'm just going to go through the fucking cliche talking points of Bitcoin, immutable, whatever, and unhackable. I think clearly there's ways probably to hack it, and there are security issues with Bitcoin, but it seems pretty solid. But yeah, like you said, a lot of these other smaller coins, I don't fuck around with them because I don't know enough about them, and I don't have the mental bandwidth to sit there and try to play it. I just put money into Bitcoin and just park it, and if it shits to bed, it shits to bed. If it goes through the roof, then great. But
another reason why Bitcoin's probably more successful, not just because people believe in it more, but I also learned compared to those meme coins, there's a much more limited supply of Bitcoins. Like there's a pretty strict limit.
Yes.
Whereas those meme coins, I want to say, like there's only like 21 million Bitcoins technically ever going to be created, and so there's just like little.
Correct.
Yeah, and. So like a Shiba coin or something like that, there's like 41 million or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't think as many people are going to buy into this.
Right. And some of those coins are actually limitless too. Like the supply can theoretically continue on and just continue being more and more, which is a different model, and it could still hold value, but it's not functioning like a true, like Bitcoin kind of functions like they call digital gold, because eventually all of it will be mined. There'll be no new Bitcoin left to be mined, and that will just leave the remaining Bitcoin to be divvied up, which you can divvy it up too. It doesn't have to be a one single coin. You can divvy it up into different like Satoshi units or whatever to make it.
You're saying converting it to a different currency, or you're saying
no? So basically, like each Bitcoin, because Bitcoin right now, I think last I checked, the price was like 45,000 or something.
Don't think about it. We can look at it right now through my Cash App.
Test me. Let's see. I think it's
probably
in the 40s.
I know. Yeah, it definitely is in the 40s from what I remember.
Check it out.
Invest for everyone. I want to see the Bitcoin. Damn it. 41.
Wow, it's about to go back into the 30s.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely gone down for a dive this week.
Oh, big time.
Looking at a year, see how it's like a trend thing. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, this is closer to functioning. Or I've even heard of some places them starting the cryptocurrency based off of their country's already present money supply.
It's a good idea.
So at least it's based off something.
I like that. And that's kind of the theory behind what I've heard with XRP too, is that like XRP is a cryptocurrency that can work on existing payment clearing channels. Like XRP would allow you to take like a ACH, and go through that channel and actually just exchange a currency for Bitcoin, So where is
one of the currency exchanges?
I don't even think you'd have to go through an exchange. Like XRP can it's like a medium to where it can do that like more seamlessly for you.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how. Like I'm no total expert, but the idea of XRP is like you don't even have to go to like a formal exchange. Like the coin itself can like do it seamlessly.
Okay. Okay.
I might be totally fucking wrong here.
I'll probably have to find that XRP. We'll figure that out later on, because I know. Okay, so like, did you hear about when not Venezuela? It was El Salvador accepted as one of their currencies and stuff.
Their legal tender, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to say it wasn't going to take it over. It was just going to be like an alternative. And it was more as a way, because remittances, the fees that go with them, because if you send it through like a Western Credit Union or one of those money service businesses, they take a fee off. And if you do it through Bitcoin, it's much less. That was kind of the thought of them doing it. I mean, obviously, there's like some thought, like stores don't want to accept it just because it's highly volatile.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, and I don't know how you see it, but I think some businesses, they may start making their own, and it's like, oh, we accept payments in this coin, because let's say like Disney, to go to their park, it's like you can pay the $150 day admission fee to both parks, or pay it in Bitcoin.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think one of the things early on I thought about Bitcoin and thought, okay, this will help people, is those that can't access banks as well. What, maybe it's because they're just far out, but they at least have an internet connection. So if they have that digital wallet, they can still do everything from it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like another big adopter I've heard of is Nigeria, and like 220 million people in Nigeria, fucking giant country, one of the more promising places for like big economic growth to happen in Africa. And they're starting to, they have some new app that makes Bitcoin like really easy, and it is really easy. The only issue is like
all the money laundering.
It probably.
Probably.
I mean, yeah, money laundering, drug buying. I think a lot of that stuff though is probably a symptom of it being really early in its development, because it just makes sense, right?
There's less of the safeguards.
Right. For it's not regulated. People haven't like gotten their heads around using it. Who's going to mostly use Bitcoin? Who's going to be the early adopters? It's going to be people who are really excited about the technology, and people that can't be using cash and making cash transactions that are going to get the attention of authorities, right?
Something that goes through a financial institution. They can't have that.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't think it's something that can really be blamed on Bitcoin per se. That's just who's going to be attracted to it at first. But I think more and more you're going to have legitimate players, legitimate people, non-clandestine people, just normal businesses starting to adopt it, And, yeah.
Yeah, well, my thought's the whole thing, the fees and stuff that gets charged on your transactions when you just use your card.
Yeah.
It's like maybe a business would rather like not have to pay a fee for that, and they just just pay whatever the transfer of Bitcoin is, because the transaction is instant with the Bitcoin. Sure, you don't get it right away because it takes time to process, and especially if you don't have a little more Bitcoin for whoever mines it as like a reward, then it takes a little while.
Right.
But I mean, people are still going to be able to receive that money. Like within 2 hours, you should get your whatever the Bitcoin that was transacted.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And another big thing that I think is really good about Bitcoin too is it's not able to be manipulated. You can't, like we said, you can't print more of it, which can be detrimental. Like just with our U.S. dollars, if you hold U.S. dollars, I mean, the purchasing power of the U.S. dollar has dropped so much since when we first bought it, or since it was first printed. The amount of money printing has just led to that dollar being worth less and less and less and less. And it creates this system where after the Treasury creates, it's really the Federal Reserve, creates the money, then the people that get first use of that money, it's almost like when you make a new batch of cocaine. And when it first starts out, that cocaine is pure pharmaceutical, right off the brick, just got right off the press in Colombia, and then as that cocaine moves out and gets broken down and cut with all this other shit, the end user of that cocaine is doing a much shittier product than it started off as. And it's the same thing with money. When the Federal Reserve first prints it, the first people that get to use that money, it actually buys much more, and they don't pay interest on that shit. They'll get like interest-free loans, and they get use of that money. And then as it flows out through the economy, it creates inflation so that the end user of that printed dollar is actually, that dollar is worth less by the time they're able to spend it.
And I assume that's because as it's being used throughout for economic for commerce, that it's then becoming recognized that the money supply in the system has increased, and so
right, because there's a delayed effect with inflation.
Yeah.
Like let's say the Federal Reserve printed you like $5 billion and just gave it all to you, you could start spending that money, and then the prices are the same. You're spending money, prices are the same. Eventually, you get through spending $4 billion of it. People are going to be like, whoa, there's all of a sudden a shitload more money in circulation. This dude's just been spending so much money. We got to raise the prices. So what happens is the prices there's a delayed effect. Like a bunch of money is printed. It's not like prices go up right away just because a bunch of money was printed. That money has to be printed and then circulated throughout the economy before people realize that they need to increase the price, before that inflation actually happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the people who get to spend early. Their purchasing power is relatively better than those who will later down the line.
Exactly.
So it is all about who gets that money first.
And that's like the whole economic system, dude. Is that like the Federal Reserve will print money, and then it's given to, it's given at a very low rates, even like no interest rates, to these like huge institutions, and then they invest it throughout the economy, and then it goes down from there.
You're right about. In fact, now that you bring up the interest rates, that means something more with it, because that makes spending and adding debt cheaper.
Right.
Because you're going to take on less interest.
Totally.
Because obviously you have the federal funds rate, which is the lowest rate out there, and that's like what banks loan to each other, and then everyone else is above to some extent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why I've thought for a house, why prices are so much higher is because rates are so low.
Yeah.
It's easier for the people to be able to put it on debt. So my thought is I'd be fine to take a housing or at a higher rate if it means the demand has gone down and prices on houses are lower.
Yeah.
Obviously, if that. I mean, probably right now I'd rather put that money even to equity, even if it was just a townhouse or a condo, just so there's at least equity built. And then once that's finished, then I could rent it out and then go to somewhere else.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, no, that's the thought with it. Slow and steady with building the process. And what you were saying with the Federal Reserve, I guess the loss of the dollar probably started a lot when the gold standard was abandoned.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, now we're going to back everything. You can trust this. This money means something.
Right, exactly. Famous last words.
Sure, President Nixon. Yeah, and that's certainly true. But one of the benefits I learned to the U.S. dollar, because like how it's useful around the world, so we can kind of do that somewhat. Like obviously you don't want debt growth to exceed your growth of activity.
Right.
But other countries will help prop up the U.S. dollar, not just because they bought so much of our debt, but because a lot of them base their currency on the U.S. dollar.
Right.
That if something happened in the U.S. dollar, it would cause problems for them. So they're willing to keep us up.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what they say. The U.S. economy catches a cold and the rest of the world catches a flu. As goes our economy, if our economic problems are compounded when you go to other countries in general. I think there's countries that are not exposed to the U.S. dollar system and that might even benefit if the U.S. dollar went down. But in general, the world economy is pegged to the dollar. So if the U.S. economy goes down, the whole world economy goes down. So people do definitely have an incentive in keeping our dollar alive, But how far does that get you? I don't know. That system has definitely worked well for a long time, but I just don't know where the breaking point is. I feel like there's got to be one, but I don't know where it is.
I think it's as long as other countries are willing to buy treasury bonds and other U.S. debt. Because it's like, okay, because that means they know they're going to get paid back later down the line.
Right.
Because that's the only reason they even buy our debt now. It's because it's very trustworthy that you will be paid back later.
Right.
Now, we may have inflated our currency to a point that what you get paid back is not worth what you put in, but hey, that's the risk you take with us bastards.
That's true. And we are bastards.
Exactly. Big time with it. God damn. We are snotty American bastards. All you Europeans better fear us. Fear. But yeah, with the banking and stuff, I'm glad, especially for my education, I went through economics and stuff just because it was kind of good to know those different steps or stuff, or how I learned currency manipulations, countries do it because it makes their manufactured products more desirable because it's like, hey, it's cheaper to produce here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you took economics?
Yeah, I
Nice.
did.
I was
got
an economics major too.
Oh, tremendous with that. I think it's both you and Spencer Gaspar. Also, he did his in economics. I think it's just as a good way to see how people produce and consume, just that whole thing.
Absolutely. It's great for, whenever you're buying drugs, prostitutes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I more use it for stuff like I buy a pizza and then I amateurize it. It's like, okay, if I take it over 2 days, it only costs me this much per day. But if I eat it over 3 days, it'll cost me this much. Hey, got to break it down, especially when you're young in college and that pizza can last you 3 days. You're willing to amateurize it that long. Hell yeah.
They're like, sir, this is Little Caesars. It's $5, okay? Just fucking pay for it,
It'll
please.
be under $2 a day if I get it to last 3 days. I am on a breakthrough here, Matt. Yeah, it's stuff like that, and that's probably as frugal of a mindset as I get to is start amateurizing. Well, because
it's pretty damn frugal there, buddy.
It does when it comes to food. I guess where it means something more is, let's say it comes to a car, a big purchase like that. Because let's say a car, it's, okay, it cost me $4,000. But if I use that car for 5 years, what is it, $800 a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then it's like, okay, that, like, in that sense, it's more worth it. Because it's like when a big construction project happens, you're not going to charge it all up front. It's like, well, what's the useful life of this building we're creating? It's like, all right, 10 years. We'll just do it over a 10-year period of time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that way it doesn't like hurt your cash flow too much.
Oh, yeah, because then it's like you don't have to show your investors, why are you in the red now?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're building and stuff. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it in a sense, but isn't that also what causes some of those developers to then have their debt consume them?
Yeah, definitely. And look, I mean, that's kind of what can create a whole economy, I think, getting into problems. If it breaks down, it's a beautiful system if it works. But, like, let's say, like your example of the building over 10 years, if they're paying this construction company and then, like, on year 5, they can't pay the construction company or whatever, then that company's fucked. And then maybe they were going to pay someone, and now that person's fucked, and it just, like, creates, like, a cascading.
Yeah, it goes from the contractors to the suppliers all the way down.
Exactly, yeah.
Because everyone was relying on someone else down the line.
Exactly.
And that one with developers, it reminded me going back home, seeing this one area that was fenced off, and I guess they had been looking to develop or such, but the guy who owned the firm, he went bankrupt over the pandemic, so now it's just empty again.
Oh,
and for a while, it hadn't been anything, so people were glad that it was finally going to be developed into something. And then, pandemic happens, he goes bankrupt, and it's still empty.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of those projects, I mean, the king of that is China, though, right? They've built, like, whole fucking cities, I've heard, that are just ghost cities. There's no one living in these fucking things. It's like, the way I picture it, I don't know if this is, maybe this is something we could look up on a YouTube video of this shit or something, but, like, I'm picturing, like, New York cities that are just, like, empty, pretty much, like, skyscrapers and fucking.
I've seen, like, that, like, those, apartment buildings kind of and such they just built because it'll be a country like Evergrande that
right.
one that recently had that.
Are you familiar with that situation? Because I've heard that's like really big deal, but like I don't quite understand.
A little bit. It was like the amount of debt they were holding in China. They wanted to start limiting a lot of this, so I think now they limit how high you can build these apartment complexes.
Okay.
Yeah, they limit like the number of stories, so they're not just trying to build as high up.
So now they're just gonna build them like laterally, like way like the size of fucking Texas, just big ass buildings.
You just like big long, or it's gonna look like a prison maze.
Yeah. But Evergrande though, they are an investment bank in China, correct? That's like.
Or they're the a developer, like
okay.
Construction developer. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
aren't they a bank though, kind of, or no?
I don't know if they're like a straight bank. I could check and such.
Let's check it out.
Evergrande.
You might be right. I think I might be confused. That sounds right. That they're a developer.
I mean, I could believe that they're like a huge conglomerate that does Evergrande. Yeah, Evergrande Group.
I heard that them going under means we're all fucked, but I haven't seen it happen yet. Okay, Evergrande. Evergrande is the second largest property developer in China. Okay, there you go. Is ranked 122nd on the Fortune Global 500. It is incorporated in the Cayman Islands.
That's not suspicious. What could be going on there?
Yeah. Yeah, there's everything's on the up and up.
Yeah, the liquidity crisis it speaks in the second.
Yeah, in 2021, payments due on its debt, estimated in the hundreds of billions of dollars, resulted in the Evergrande liquidity crisis. This was one of the reasons for a drop in the many stock market indices on September 20th, 2021. The Chinese government is reportedly working to restructure Evergrande to resolve this crisis. Okay, so they are a developer. They defaulted on the loan. Is that what happened?
Or I guess the liquidity. Well, it was like what I was telling you. When your debt growth exceeds your revenue growth, that's when you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because then you're taking in more debt than you're putting out revenue, so there's no point in investing in you.
Right.
At that point, you might as well be bankrupt. Yeah. It was the wake of the new Chinese regulation. See, I think that's what partially about the like limits you could put on the number of floors.
Oh, okay.
For residential.
Because look at that picture right there. Click on that picture right there. Look at that.
Yeah, in a city where there's probably like less than 10,000 people.
Yeah. And you think anybody's living in those fucking things?
No, well, because I think what they thought, they'd get a lot of people from the bigger cities to move out to these places, but it's like, no, they'll just cram into their smaller places in like Shanghai or Guangzhou or Beijing. They're not gonna go all the way down here to the Yunnan County, Henan, wherever.
I didn't even know there was counties in fucking China, dude.
Well, I think it's whatever they call their counties.
I know, but like, I thought they called them like prefectures or some shit. But I guess they have counties over there and prefectures, I'm sure, too.
Under the administration of the prefecture level city. Okay.
Of Xinjiang.
Oh, it's below a province. Okay, so it's what's below a province.
Oh, wow. I wonder why we don't have prefectures in America.
We have counties ourselves.
I know, but we don't have prefectures. Why not?
Well, I mean, maybe we have municipal, like, or don't they have those unincorporated areas or something like that?
Yeah, maybe that's the same thing.
Something similar. Yeah, let me see what it was saying. Warned it was at risk of experiencing a cash crush shares. Okay, so they didn't have any liquid assets on hand, it seems like. The strategy failing after numerous missed debt payments. Okay, so it was a lot of missed debt payments.
Got it.
It makes sense with all this stuff.
Number of downgrades by international ratings agencies. Wow. Look at that picture. Click on that one. The housing development in Shenzhen. I mean, just very large housing developments that they don't look like anybody lives in them.
No, definitely no. Like, I've heard about that. Like, some people, they're just a few people that live in the entire building.
Dude, we should buy some of that shit up. Like, I would go over there. We could imagine what we could do in those buildings. Like, you could have half the fucking building to yourself. Just smoke weed, chill.
Dude, you do different things on different rooms or different floors.
Yeah, it'd be like a pleasure palace.
Oh, my God. You have a harem of women on one floor. You feel like the king of Thailand, what he did. I remember hearing that news story early in the pandemic. It's like, oh, he's at some hotel in Germany with a harem of women.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can live like that. Carl, we can live like that over there, man.
Only we were the kings, if that's it. Yeah, let me see.
We'll be the kings one day.
Yeah, the 3 red lines to regulate the leverage taken on developers, limiting the borrow on 3 metrics: debt to cash, debt to equity, and debt to assets.
Right. So I guess you got to keep all those below a certain number.
Yeah, and it says like here the whole thing, a Lehman-style brother collapse if they were to go down.
Just take the whole fucking world economy with them.
Exactly. I'll bring everyone down with you. They're going to be like the AIG and Lehman Brothers.
I would think, and maybe even bigger, right? If this is China, like, I mean, that's the world we live in. Everything's bigger in China, baby.
Oh yeah, because it said it was the second largest property. Yeah, second largest. Wait, so what does that mean? The first one is.
Let's look up. Yeah, what is the first one?
I want to see what's their problem. Real estate in China. It'll probably say something here. Where are the big companies?
There you go.
Oh, the market cap. Organized by market cap.
Huh.
Oh, wait, no, that's the other way around. Damn it.
Those are
Companies. Agile property. Come on. They got to have more. Large Chinese property developers. Large Chinese. I wonder if we can start holding, like, cockfighting in these places.
Oh, dude, you can do whatever you want there. Look at that empty corridor in the vacant New South China Mall.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's see that.
It makes sense. Okay, County Garden.
Country Garden.
Country. What the fuck?
That's in China? That's like the most Midwest American name I've ever heard.
I'm sure they have a translation to Chinese.
True.
Whatever it may be. Okay.
Country Garden. There it is, yeah. There's the translation right there. Looks like a swan or like a flamingo as the logo.
Oh, a peacock.
Oh, is that a peacock?
I think. I mean, it has the look of the swan, but I thought with the colors it would be the peacock. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen to it. What's the recent news? Because I've heard some problem with, I guess, some people with Chinese wealth, they'll take their money abroad and put it in property. Because you know the whole thing, it's like you don't know if the Chinese government will seize your assets at any point.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they limit a lot of the how much you can take out of China each time. Although there's a way around it, I learned. You go to the casinos in out in Macau, and let's say you put your money in like I think it's Chinese yuan. What it is, you play with that, and like whatever you take back, even if it's a little less, like you only take back 97% of what you bet. You can then ask for it in American dollars there.
So it's like the casino changes the money for you.
Yeah, it's one way to launder money.
Dang?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's like I don't have 20,000 in illegal assets. I have 9,700 in casino winnings.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like you don't need to bother me. This is legitimate money now. But then that's considered money laundering and stuff. The different ways people can do it. I mean, any business where you can just put money into can technically be, but some are better than others, obviously.
Yeah.
Like that's why in the 80s garbage racketeering was a big thing with the mafia.
Oh, they bought like a lot of garbage companies?
I know a big one was the Lucchese crime family in New York City. I remember watching a video on this, and it was kind of hilarious because they always said their negotiating tactics, like, oh, they would go to their competition and convince them with the cold hard barrel of a gun. Like that was their way of convincing everything. But it was like how they bought up the companies and stuff, and then you start paying like the unions and stuff. The unions work under you,
right?
Because if you control like the supply of it, because a big thing about garbage, there's always a supply of it. Someone's got to collect it. People will pay for it. And it's also a good way to put lots of money in because you could buy lots of trucks, have a big facility.
Right.
Yeah, that's why it was done for a while. But then the 80s, they really crammed down on that. And now we have companies like Waste Management and Republic Services to do.
Right. I've heard they kind of made it public. Like, at least in New York City, it became... Did it go from private to public or public to private? I forget.
They brought, because it was after the mobs, they then made it more of like a public thing. Like I want to say
utility type of deal, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that word is a company, but they have like a rate which they charge, and it's like this is what it's gonna be and such. Like
right.
It's set by the city.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's the agreement. It's they're given a monopoly over it. They just have a set rate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have a relative when my family like lived in New York City. I guess he was in New York City garbage driver, and or like my great grandpa or something had like a small little company that did it, and he just got wiped out when it all went public.
Oh, when the waste management.
Yeah.
Oh.
When it was like taken over by the city.
Was he working for the Irish mob? Was he working for Whitey Bulger?
Probably.
He was. Goddamn. Well, at least now we know you have this connection to organized crime syndicates.
If he was working for Whitey Bulger, he technically would have been working for the FBI. So
technically, okay. I thought, what was it? Whitey Bulger? Wasn't he the one they caught in some L.A. Or Lost Southern California? His apartment or such.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was like they were able to find it through like his wife he was with, like the dog they also had.
Right.
He couldn't cover his trails. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were stashing him out there, and then someone like ratted on him eventually. He had been out there for like 10 years.
I think maybe someone in his building found out who he was or such.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's got to be crazy because you would think at a certain point it's like, oh, I haven't been caught by now, so no one will find me. Like that Golden State Killer thought until one day he was probably sitting slouched in his couch watching Price is Right reruns with Bob Barker, and he gets a big push through the door. The FBI's there to arrest him.
Yeah, you can never get too careful. And like Osama bin Laden, he was out there chilling in his little compound, and where was it? It's in Pakistan.
Islamabad.
Islamabad. I heard it was some nice neighborhood in Islamabad.
It was kind of like a decent neighborhood. In fact, I want to say it was not too far from a city that's considered like a very like military city.
Yeah, that might be why he was there. You know, he kind of wanted the protection. But
he was in the compound all the time. I know it was the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he had like a couple. He probably had his own little harem there too, I'm sure.
I think he had like
maybe
some
a couple.
women there. Oh yeah, like some women there. I know when they took his computer files and stuff, apparently there was some like a lot of Tom and Jerry stuff.
Really?
He apparently had there was some interesting stuff.
That must be how he felt, you know. He must have felt like America was Tom and then like he was Jerry.
Yeah, that's what I guess with the thought of it to him. It's like, oh, they're trying to catch me, but I'm the little mouse and I'll always get away. Or it was like some bootleg version. I can't remember what the movie was, but it was something released in like the FBI files. They said what was within his like they found with his computer and such. It was just like a lot of entertainment and such, just like keep him going.
That's funny. The dude hates America.
But I watched the cartoon. Well, I mean,
but we still love the cartoons. We still make some great fucking cartoons. You can't deny that.
I mean, if the Chinese or Russians made a good cartoon that didn't require any dialogue, I'm sure I'd watch it.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
I can't blame them, including other places or whatever. Even if Iran wants to create something like that, they can do such.
Yeah. The Taliban puts out a good cartoon. I'm watching it.
Taliban, if you need someone to promote it, I can help promote it for you in the U.S. We could do that. Well, I could imagine that like some Sesame Street, but a Taliban version.
Yeah.
Here's Oscar ready to do a side street bombing right here.
Oh, shit.
The count just counts down to when the explosion happens. Big Bird's just a big target. He's obviously going to be collateral.
Right. And Big Bird's like a plane hitting the building.
Grover's the only one that survives because somehow he's always like flying somewhere.
Yes. He's the fucking he's the hijacker, the airplane hijacker.
Grover was part of 9/11. You can't tell me differently otherwise. Now I'm trying to think of all these different
dude, I don't
characters.
remember any of them. I don't fucking remember any of them. I was never a big Sesame Street kid, but that's not even a cartoon, so I don't know why we're talking about it. Sesame Street wasn't a cartoon, was it?
No.
That was live action shit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, they had the puppets and such, but it was done by the public education system. It was funded to help kids learn how to count and read.
Right.
Imagine all the poor kids that learned how to read and count because of them, Matthew. It was a big benefit to them.
You think so?
I think it was. I mean, my parents had it on a little, but not too much.
Yeah.
I never remember being the big thing. To be honest, I think I remember seeing the Wiggles more or something like that.
Oh, really?
I think.
See, I was like Blue's Clues.
Oh, Blue's Clues too, definitely. Oh yeah.
If we're talking about non-cartoons, Power Rangers. Totally.
Oh, Power Rangers.
I was Power Rangers, which I'm not like, I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were the cooler ones to go with. Power Rangers were kind of like Poindexters a little bit. They were a little like nerdy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, go, go, Power Rangers. And they're all wearing tights.
Or the overly dramatic, just like screen, like the camera action shots.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
I wish I could remember their names. It was like Laser, Blade, Magenta. I mean, they had like the
Red Rockets.
just the corniest, fucking lamest names you could ever imagine. They weren't cool. Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were cool. Like I wish I had been more into them. The ones that I were into that were cool were this. What was it, like Street Sharks? They were like sharks that skated around and shit. Those were pretty cool.
Okay, I kind of remember them and stuff. Yeah, I was more of like the SpongeBob type.
Oh, I love SpongeBob.
I mean, as you said, if it came to movies, definitely Toy Story. I was a big Toy Story guy growing up.
That's a good
Which makes it kind of interesting that my biggest comedy influence was the guy who voiced Mr. Potato Head, Don Rickles.
Did he voice Mr. Potato Head?
He did.
Really?
Dude, yeah, that's
Wow.
why I think it's cool how like different generations were exposed to him in different ways. I mean, that's with a lot of big celebrities, but I felt that like him, that was my first exposure to him, and then I didn't realize his genius till I saw his comedy.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, this guy is old, but he's hilarious.
Right.
And he's doing like an angry act, but it was good in a way which you knew he wasn't actually angry.
Oh, yeah.
He was just being frivolously angry, like, what's the matter with you? What are you
Right.
talking to me?
Right. Just kind of like old grandpa who, the kids are running through the kitchen and he's just like, ah, what are you doing? Like not actually mad, just kind of just flummoxed, I guess you would call it.
It's like the kids running around. And it's like, they should put you in the Boston Marathon, kids. Jesus Christ, with all this energy. I can imagine. And he apparently still had tour dates going on, and he was about 90 when he died. So,
Jesus.
I mean, it's incredible and such. Like, he couldn't obviously do, like, back-to-back stuff. Like, he'd have to do, like, one date, and then he doesn't do it for, like, some other weeks in some other different place.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude was a boss. Dude was a fucking baller.
He was, yes. And I think that's always the way to go out and such. You don't die on the road, but you die still performing and such.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because no one wants to be found in a hotel like Andre the Giant dead.
No.
You want to
live a nice long life.
Exactly. Well, if that is your kind of person, maybe you are ready to take it out quickly, but
Cash in your chips.
Exactly. I never found out who from you was like your biggest influence with comedy. I mean, you don't have to do like a whole list or one specific person, but are there any like comedians is like, yeah, this person probably influenced me a lot?
Let's see. The first time I saw stand-up comedy and thought it looked fucking awesome was I saw Joe Rogan's special.
Oh.
And that was from back. A lot of people have seen him recently. This was back before his podcast. This was probably like 2005.
Oh,
maybe.
Wow.
It was what was it? Shiny Happy Jihad. I think that came out like 05 or 06. And I had never been into stand-up comedy. I was probably like 14 or 15 back then. And I was having a sleepover with my cousins in Richmond, Virginia. And we had all recently started smoking weed. And it was like kind of one of those first sleepovers where, my cousin had weed and we all kind of like went outside after the parents went to bed, smoked. We all passed around the blunt, came back in, watched this Joe Rogan special. And I remember just thinking, I had never laughed at stand-up before. It seemed like too adult of a thing for me because I was, I was still pretty young. And it just didn't really appeal to me. Like late night shows, stand up, that type of shit was just like too old for me. I was still watching cartoons and shit.
Yeah.
But I saw Shiny Happy Jihad and I just laughed my fucking ass off. And I just thought it was so incredible that one person could just make a room full of people laugh like that. So that was originally what got me interested in it. And then that's probably the main one. that got me into it, that made me want to do it. And then inspiration since then, I don't really watch that much comedy, man. Like, I don't really watch that much.
I don't blame you sometimes. Yeah, like I don't watch as many specials, but I'll watch like big portions of it, like a 12 or 15-minute part of a special. Yeah.
Yeah. But if I had to say the person that sometimes I catch myself sounding a little bit like on stage, then I have to make sure I don't like take his style, is Bill Burr.
Oh, I feel it with you that and stuff. Well, I think he's really good just because he can go off himself and such. I don't think he needs like other people's input. He's really good just expressing his thoughts in hilarious ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, especially I've heard him talk about Formula 1 and stuff, and that's kind of funny stuff. Or I remember learning about MotoGP, like the motorcycle racing through him, and like through him just learning how insane those people are doing motorcycle racing.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I want to say the last motor person who did like motor racing professionally that died wasn't that MotoGP.
Okay.
Because if you fly off that, you don't know how you're gonna land.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Bill Burr, he's definitely probably one of the better ones still active today. Definitely still touring and stuff. Obviously, probably the best is like Chappelle, but obviously he doesn't have to go do tours and stuff. He just does a show whenever the hell he wants.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I'll do one in Southern California at the Hollywood Bowl, and the only seats available are $750 seats now.
Right.
Good dad, damn it. Yeah, but obviously, like Bill Burr, or I know he's sold out here.
Yes.
Really quick. But what I was annoyed, and I hated it with the timing. I think he was before I came back home, he was in the Bay Area, and there were tickets in Oakland, like still good ones, under not even the higher level, but under $50, like $45 ones, the lower level in the back. And
for Bill Burr?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, damn it, I wish I had given it a better, because I totally would have gone to see it there, because I knew everything in Phoenix was sold out.
Yeah, I actually went to a show here in Phoenix.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah. Dude, that must have been great.
It was very funny.
Nice.
He started off just like, well, the thing I like about Bill Burr is he pisses everybody off. Like they're like, no matter your political opinion or your beliefs on whatever given topic, he's gonna have you laughing at one point and he's gonna have you pissed off at one point. And you can hear it, and then you'll be laughing and the people around you will be pissed off, and then everybody around you will be laughing and you'll be pissed off. And I think that's great because he's kind of like busting everybody's balls. He's busting everybody's chops. Each group like kind of gets made fun of, gets taken down off their high horse. Each group is given a laugh as well, and he just kind of cycles through. It's like all the big political groups are in one room, and Bill Burr's just like shitting on one to make the other laugh, and then shitting on the one he just made laugh to make the other one laugh. Yeah. And it just goes back and forth, back and forth. It's fucking great.
Someone else I like, it does a similar style that I think, but obviously not the same exactly. Daniel Tosh, like he'll just like degrade so many different kinds of people,
right?
Or especially I remember enjoying his show Tosh.0, and I did know he did one where he was Lane Kiffin,
yeah,
and he did like a skit where it was a show called Kiffin's a coaching corner. It was all KKK, and it was him taking like phone calls, but it was just phone calls from people saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck your wife," and he's like saying, "Boy, no one speaks about my goddamn wife again."
That's great.
But it was just like that stuff. He'll go after like whatever. It's just a ridiculousness, and yeah, because obviously when Burr, well, even anyone when they go after someone, it's the ridiculous. And I never feel like someone like him they like hate someone. He's just finding what's the absurdity in it. He's pretty good at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bill Burr, he will find the absurdity, and he'll also like break it down. And if you believe in that, he breaks your belief down, and that's kind of like that northeastern thing, like him being from Boston and stuff. Like comedy comes from like shitting on people more so there. Mm-hmm. It can come off as aggressive or like demeaning to people in other parts of the country, but in Boston, like that's just the style.
Busting balls,
exactly. And so I can tell that's definitely his style, and that he's like a true Boston comic, because every time he like tackles a topic, it's kind of comes from a point of like, you're on your high horse, you have this belief. I'm going to make fun of you for that belief. I'm going to make you feel kind of stupid and silly for having that belief. But at the end of the day, I really don't give a fuck. I'm just fucking around, you know?
Yeah, exactly with that. Because it never feels like he's trying to convince someone, but he's just pointing out, is like, this is why this is ridiculous. Like, why would you think of doing this? Did you think about this before you even made this decision?
Yeah.
No, yeah. And it's just speaking to that level of absurdity, because I think that's something very witty, or comics that are good off their head. They can just find that absurdity that people are thinking but haven't really expressed it straight yet. Or when you do, you're like, okay, I can definitely understand that view.
Right. Exactly.
Like you were taking the absurd point of view of wanting to shoot the driver in front of you because they're not driving properly.
Right.
That may be a personal thing, but whatever. Some people, when they merge onto the 10 from the 51 or the
we've all felt it.
Yeah. No, I've felt with that, but I think we've got over the hour. Oh, yeah, we definitely have got over the hour now. Okay, so we can wrap this up at the 85-minute mark. This has been 60 Minutes with Karl G. I have to say that so bastards at CBS Viacom don't sue me. This is Matt Weir. I don't know if you want to plug in everything you got, Matt.
Sure. So I have a show at Gracie's Tax Bar in Phoenix, January 10th. I have 2.
This won't be on till the 15th. No one's going to see it until then, but I will be at that show still.
Okay. Then I have a show in February. It's a comedy competition. If you follow me on social media, big_Barbarossa on Instagram, Matthew Weir on Facebook. I'm posting about that show. It's in
His
February.
Profile picture looks like one of the 3 wise men for Jesus.
True. Yeah, it's a painting of me. It's really not me, but let's just say it's
as him delivering a gift to little baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Exactly with that. But it's going well with that. I don't know what else to say with that. If you feel the need to drive a truck into a store, do it to Gap or Old Navy. Those places deserve it. Yes.